I think I was wrong about everything. About who I am. About what I could be. I thought this would be a dream come true. A fantasy. I mean, there are monsters, and there's even a knight. I thought I would be like a quest or a hero's journey. But maybe that was all a trick. Today, on the Comic Book Report, Robin and Batman by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. Stick around and check it out. Greetings from Gotham, everyone. My name is Dominic, and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And today, we're taking a look at a book that's been on my wish list for some time, and I'm so happy to report I finally got a copy to review for all of you today. Of course, I'm talking about Robin and Batman by Lemire and Nguyen. But before we jump into that, I just want to shout out our channel sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com. If you're interested in picking up your own comic book collected editions, I encourage you to check out their website. You can find it in this video's description. If you find something you like, you can even use my discount code at checkout, The Comic Book Report, to save $2 off of your order. Please note if you use my affiliate link or code to make a purchase, I will earn a small commission, but it's a fantastic way to support this channel. Thank you so much for considering. Now let's get started with today's review. First, some quick facts about today's collection. The issues in this volume were written by Jeff Lemire and illustrated by Dustin Nguyen. The comics in this volume were first published by DC Comics beginning in 2022. The volume itself collects Robin and Batman, issues 1 through 3. And finally, this is a standard size hardcover that comes in at 144 pages. At this time, I'd like to issue a general spoiler warning. I will be flipping through the contents of today's collection and commenting on plot points throughout. You've been advised. Okay, and here's our first look at that standard size hardcover from DC Comics. We have some really stylish and beautiful artwork from Nguyen on the front cover of this bad boy. It gives you a good idea of what you can expect on the interiors of this book. If you're not familiar with this combo here, Jeff Lemire is an incredible writer. He's done a lot of great indies, as well as some good DC and Marvel stuff throughout the years. I've reviewed a few of his works on my channel, things like Sweet Tooth. And Dustin Nguyen, I'm only starting to get into recently after reading some stuff he did with Lemire on Descender over at, I believe, Image Comics. But this is a really great, well, frankly, dynamic duo creative team. This is a book I had heard about for some time, and I couldn't wait to finally read it. So when I found a copy for a good price, I was happy to pick it up. Yeah, the artwork in here is just beautiful, and I'm happy to say this is a glossy print paper stock of a book, which is really fantastic coming from DC Comics. I am a fan of glossy paper stock over matte in general, and with DC Comics these days, it's hard to know what you're going to get. So I'm extremely happy to say this is a glossy print book. Now, as you can see here, I do want to take out the dust jacket so you can get a fuller look at the dust jacket images here. You can take a look at the interior flaps, and then we can take a look at the under the dust jacket artwork that's printed on the hardback itself. Because I love Nguyen's art so much, and it's so great to see him adapt and interpret these iconic characters, I want to just show off his artwork as much as possible. And I think what we have printed on both the dust jacket and the hardback itself are really something else. So let's go ahead and take a look here. As you can see, I really love the artwork. He has kind of a watercolor looking painted feel to his work. It took me a while to click into this style, but once I did, it was like I couldn't get enough of it. Now we'll just look at the back cover of the hardback before I do a final spread of all the art we have here on the hardback itself. I love that these days a lot of the publishers are doing art on the hardback itself. What a great opportunity to showcase additional artwork. It's just a treat, especially for collectors like me. I always love seeing it. I think the images they pick for this book in particular are really standout and really just beautiful. I might already sound redundant, but I am a fan of the art we get in this book. It is incredible, and I love seeing Gotham and these characters rendered in such a way. While I have the book, I do want to show you as well what the interior pages look like when you first open and close this hardback, because there is art printed on these surfaces as well. I think that this is really an art book, and so I wanted to just showcase what you can get on the inside of this hardback as well, because I just think they're a detail that are worth noting. I think it's really beautiful, and I just wanted all the prospective collectors out there to get a look at this amazing book. And now a quick glance at the binding. So there's definitely glue in this binding. I can't tell if it's also sewn. It's a little bit hard for me to determine, but I definitely see glue in here. It might be glued and sewn. At any rate, whatever it is, the binding I thought was really good. Not too much gutter loss, especially in a book this size, which is pretty brief. More on that later. But overall, binding looked really good. Okay, and now it's time to transition into the collection proper, and right at the jump here, I do want to mention what is probably the biggest drawback of this collection, especially from what I've heard or read online. This book is really brief. In fact, it's only 3 issues for this series, Robin and Batman, and a lot of people maybe don't think it's worth the money. You know, it's under 200 pages, but let me tell you something. It is tiny but mighty. It's brief, but it's powerful. I absolutely love what this creative team did here, and you know what? It only took them 3 issues to tell this story, so no more story was needed. I think that this worked so well, and I definitely don't think it should be overlooked just because its size. I think it's really, really good. So this is ostensibly a Robin origin story. You might have read stuff like that before. I know Dark Victory takes a Robin origin story look. I know something like Robin Year One certainly does a Robin origin story. There are countless out there, obviously the original origin story, but this is yet another retelling of Robin's, and I really like the approach from Lemire and Nguyen. I think, again, Nguyen's style throughout this, it has a very distinct feel and look for Gotham and these characters. I even think how he portrays Dick Grayson. He feels youthful but weathered. I think the Dark Knight looks kind of ominous and intense, and we have a really good juxtaposition between their worlds and where they collide, that between Robin and Batman. I think some of the central characters you can see in this book are definitely Dick Grayson's Robin, Bruce Wayne's Batman, and of course Alfred Pennyworth, their butler, and the main antagonist of this book, which I was happy to see, was Killer Croc. What a great pick for a book like this, someone that I've seen throughout Batman mythos, but I love getting the spotlight on this character, and I think having him tied into the Haley Circus's background, where he was kind of the creepy reptilian man to Dick Grayson's flying trapeze artist family, was a really good way to anchor a mainstay Gotham villain in the mythos of Robin and that kind of origin. Really cool. I liked that approach. It surprised me, and it added something new to the wheel. I also like that this is basically a Robin coming-of-age story. This is a story about a boy in his adolescence trying to find his way after a lot of tragedy, after a lot of kind of interesting parental figures having different influences on him, and trying to still be his own person. This is also about a boy who's trying to be a superhero, but not maybe like Batman, who he looks up to and has as a father figure, but he is different and wants to be different than him. We also have a really interesting dynamic between Bruce Wayne and Alfred, and their kind of opposing parental ideologies that we see as far as how they influence Dick Grayson. But it's really a lot in the soup here, and I like it. I do think Bruce Wayne is done well and authentically, but he's not done flatteringly in this collection. The star really is Dick Grayson Robin, ergo Robin and Batman, rather than the normal moniker of Batman and Robin, and it really works. I think that this is a great story. I think one of my favorite things that Lemire does throughout this work is having all of the characters ring true. I actually believe that this is an adolescent boy dealing with all the issues he's actually dealing with presented in this book. The character interactions feel really real. There's a little bit of swearing here, there's a little bit of just really intense character conflicts and tensions, and I think that you have almost like a disgruntled family dynamic in the Bruce Wayne, Alfred, and Dick Grayson dynamic in this book, and it just worked for me. I really liked what we get from the young Dick Grayson here. He's still fun-loving and cheeky, but there's a lot of just heaviness to this character as he's really trying to find his own way during a really hard, pivotal, and just foundational period in his life. I'm not sure Dick Grayson's origin has ever been given this much thought in the way that it just feels very grounded. Maybe that's not fair. There are some great Robin's origin stories out there. Dark Victory and Robin Year One in particular are high bars for me, but I think that there's more levity in those collections than what we see here. This is a darker look, a more stripped back character study on these characters, and I think it's just so effective. We have Dick Grayson struggling to fit in at school, struggling to be a boy, and not this kind of man-child trying to save the world from this truly just evil set of circumstances, this orphan child that's trying to find home. We have so much happening here, but I love that we get a look at his school life, his personal life, his relationships. I love that we have him trying to emerge as Robin, what that name means for him, the costume, how it differs from Batman, how he wants to set himself apart, how he feels like he's falling short of what Batman wants of him, but how he still wants to be an active part of that dynamic. And as I mentioned earlier, having Killer Croc as the villain was fantastic, where we have this kind of savage, brutish creature of a villain who comes directly in contrast with our dynamic duo. And as I mentioned earlier, there's now this shared history with Haley Circus, treating Killer Croc's character as kind of the reptile man at the, for lack of a better term, kind of freak show. I know that term is pretty horrible, but at any rate, that's kind of what he's painted as, where Dick Grayson is part of that acrobatic trapeze family, the Flying Graysons. So when we have this interaction with Batman and Robin and Killer Croc initially, we have it almost jogging a memory for Killer Croc, seeing Robin, seeing this color, like something is evoking this memory, and we have him returning to Haley's Circus, trying to uncover all of these things. There's a manhunt for Killer Croc by Batman and Robin. We ultimately have Killer Croc showing up at Robin's school, and it's just really tense and interesting, and everything culminates in this kind of final battle at Haley's Circus, where Batman's been kidnapped and it's up to Robin to save the day. Throughout this as well, we have some great narration from Robin, and some of these characters just kind of deconstructing what's happening, reflecting on his life. The openings of these issues in particular are a high bar as far as the narration is concerned for me. A really, really standout collection. So that's kind of my synopsis and light review of the plotline of this book, some of the main kind of themes and focuses we have in this book. Going back to the art for a moment, though, from Dustin Nguyen, I love this style. Like I said, it's kind of this messy watercolor look to it. The characters are so fully realized for this painted effect that I'm just really in awe. The amount of expressiveness and tone and feel we get from the style. There's so many smoky colors and kind of grayscale color palettes to this book that when we have the kind of red, green, and yellow Robin costume, it really punches out that much more from this kind of grayscale world. It's really just well done. The coloring from Nguyen really does create an atmosphere, and it just works for Gotham. I love the kind of charcoaly look to this painted effect that Nguyen gives Gotham, and again, having Robin just juxtaposed and standing out in that, it really does show how much of a unique character Dick Grayson is, and that is so important to the storytelling. I feel like the art absolutely matches the main theme of this book, that kind of coming of age, finding your identity and your place, and standing out, setting apart, and really being rooted in who you are. And I just think that was really well done. I think Lemire and Nguyen are such a dynamic team. I love, love, love what I've read of them with Descender again, and to see them pair up on a DC Batman book was just outstanding. Oh, I'm sorry, a Robin book, a Robin and Batman book. But at any rate, I thought that this was so well done. This is a classic Batman book for me as far as a Robin origin story. I really enjoyed it. I think that this belongs on every Batman fan's bookcase. I really do think it's that good. I don't know why I don't hear more people talking about it. I'm sad to see that the biggest buzz I usually hear is, oh, it's too short, it's only 3 issues. But it never feels rushed. It never feels like we're missing out. It feels like this story is well told across only 3 issues. After those 3 issues I just mentioned, we of course have a little bit of extras here. I like to see all the different cover art, variant cover art. We have some production images, some behind the scenes kind of making of, and I really like that for a book like this that again to me stresses the art aspect of it. I love seeing some of the bonus materials here at the back of the book. I do think it helps pad this collection, which is again quite short, but overall this was a great standard size hardcover. I would definitely again recommend it to all my comic book fans who enjoy Batman and Robin. I think with how popular Nightwing has become these days, I think that this is a really fun book for a lot of people that are maybe enjoying the Tom Taylor Nightwing, to get just another look at the foundational beginnings of this character, or at least an interpretation of those origins. And now I think that all that's left to do is to give this collection a grade. For a very character-centric Robin origin story paired with some spellbinding art, The Comic Book Report is happy to give Robin and Batman by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen an A. This is definitely a must-read comic book recommendation from me, particularly for any Batman, Bat Family, Dick Grayson, DC comic fan out there. But in general, if you enjoy comics, maybe you enjoy the creators, this is definitely one to check out. Don't let the brevity throw you off too much. This is a modern epic as far as I'm concerned. I loved it. I'm happy to have it on my bookshelf, and I am convinced I will come back to this again and again in the years to come. But let me know what you think. If you've read Robin and Batman, let me know what you think of the video, or if you have any other comic book stuff to talk about, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, this has been The Comic Book Report. Please don't forget to give this video a like, and maybe check out one of my others. Thank you so much. Have a good one.